r/NoSleep. Cabin Getaway. Written by Felix Blackwell. Part 3. You don't have to read all of these former posts if you're new to my situation. All you need to know is that 1. My fiancée, Faye, has a sleep disorder and has been sleep-talking, sleepwalking, having night terrors and other frightening sleep disturbances since she was a child. 2. We've been together 5 years. 3. We recently stayed at a cabin her parents own way up in the mountains in Colorado, whereupon we discovered an enormous, handmade dream catcher in the woods out back, and began hearing creepy voices at night that mimicked people we knew, including family members who are dead. 4. My fiance's sleep disturbances got out of control during our stay and she appeared to be communicating with the things outside at night. Now we are back home in California, but something might have followed us. I took Faye to see her doctor yesterday and we hesitantly explained what was going on with her. I left out the paranormal stuff because I didn't want to get put in a ward. She seemed really concerned about Faye, ordered a blood test, gave her a physical, asked her about her diet and drugs, medications, etc. Faye and I are both non-drinkers, non-drug users, and neither of us are on medication. She wants Faye to be evaluated by a psychiatrist next week. For now, she gave her a sedative at night and some anti-anxiety medication. She wants us to get some fresh air and get out of the house, so we are going on our hike today. A Redditor named Pixie Dix brought up the possibility that the child's voice outside the cabin asking, "When do we go inside? When do we go inside?" might not refer to inside the cabin, but rather inside Faye. This really worries me because it corroborates some of the strange behavior she's been exhibiting in her sleep. I contacted the park ranger, who is pretty sympathetic to our situation, and he's going to get in touch with some of the members of his tribe who have experience with spiritual guidance and medicine. He is convinced that Faye and I have attracted the attention of the ones who come out of the mines. Lucky us. More on that later. Some Redditors have recommended that I test Faye to see if it's really her. So yesterday evening, against my wallet's advice, I took her to our favorite steakhouse. I only ever order one meal there, medium tri-tip, house macaroni cheese, and a bottled root beer. Faye only ever orders one meal there too, the barbecue chicken sandwich with mac cheese, and a salad with ranch dressing. And a Coke. She drinks Coke only. Her blood is mostly Coca-Cola. Faye took a long time deciding what to order, and ended up ordering a effing New York strip. I jokingly told her to order for me too, and she said, "I don't know what you want." She also ordered water instead of Coke. Usually we have arguments over how much Coke she drinks, and how I'm always trying to get her to hydrate better and just drink water. This was really unsettling to me. At the end of the night when we were walking back to my car, I kissed her temple and asked if she still liked it when I called her Noodle. She said, "Of course." I've never called her Noodle in my entire life. Her nickname has always been Monkey Toes, long story. When we got home, she cracked open a Coke and got on Facebook, which is completely normal for her. This threw me off. One thing that's been on my mind lately is the song the little kid was singing outside the cabin. For those of you who don't know, in the middle of the night at this cabin in Colorado, we heard a child's voice coming out of the forest, singing an eerie song. I've been catching myself humming it almost every day, oh, so me do. I asked Faye if it meant anything to her, and I sang it to her while she was sitting on the couch. After a few repetitions, she sort of went blank, like she was hypnotized, and just wobbled back and forth ever so slightly for about 8 seconds, then snapped out of it and said, "I don't remember that." Last night is when the shit hit the fan. I haven't gotten a full night's rest in over a week now, and it's starting to make me feel over-emotional and crazy. Faye started murmuring in her sleep around 1, as usual, but I couldn't understand much of it. She sat up in bed, took the sheets off her legs like she was going to get up, but I grabbed her arm and asked her what she was doing. She said, "Tell them to leave." Her eyes were completely shut. I asked her, Who needs to leave?" She sat there for about 2 minutes, not speaking, just sitting straight up. I asked again, and she replied, "There's a man at the door." Then about 10 seconds later, and a woman at the bottom of the stairs. Of course this made every single hair on my entire body bristle. I got up and went downstairs, turning on every single light as I went and carrying my buck knife with me. Nobody was in our house. I looked in every single room downstairs and even in the backyard. When I got back to the stairwell, I heard someone stomping around upstairs. Someone had turned the light to the upstairs hallway off. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, looking up, trying to listen, but the noises stopped. So I walked back up into our bedroom and got back into bed. It was likely that Faye had gotten up to go to the bathroom or sleepwalked a bit in the room and went back to bed. I fell asleep pretty fast, but woke up again only a few minutes later. Faye was gone. I heard movement down the hall, so I looked out into it, and I saw Faye coming out of the other bedroom. She staggered down the hall toward me, then stopped, turned around, and walked back in the other direction. She did this 7 or 8 times. She was walking in almost the same way as the night before, standing really high up on her toes, her legs totally rigid like they were made of cement, and her arms completely limp and flopping back and forth. It was extremely effing terrifying seeing her move like that. She was totally graceless. It was like someone was testing out a human body for the first time. At that same moment I heard a noise through the bedroom window and ran over to check, thinking someone was really at the front door. You can see down to the front entryway from our bedroom window. Off in the distance, about 30 yards out, somebody was walking back and forth in the exact same way that Faye was. He was humming loudly and intermittently singing. The song sounded like the one I sang to Faye earlier, the one the child sang outside the cabin. I made this YouTube video explaining what happened. Basically, I ran back into the hall, woke Faye up, and brought her downstairs. I opened the front door to get a better look at the man, but he was gone. Today, at the behest of a few Redditors, I asked Faye if she'd ever been to that cabin before we visited it. I don't know why I never thought to ask her this before. She said nothing about it when we stayed there for several nights. She was hesitant to answer me, and eventually admitted that she'd been there once when she was 14. She and her parents went snowshoeing up the mountain. A few hours later I mailed her mother and asked the same question. She told me Faye had gone to the cabin multiple times as a child, but stopped going when she went into high school. I can't figure out which one of them is lying to me. Because so many people have questions about Faye, she has agreed to do a filmed interview. If you post questions for her, I will film her responses and post them here within a few days. I haven't told Faye this, but I'm thinking of going back to the cabin and meeting with the ranger. He wants to do some ritual with the dream catcher we found, if it's still there, and he says he will bring his friends and try to cleanse the house and the surrounding area. This will cost me like $500 just to fly out there, but if this shit gets any worse, it might be worth it. Edit. A Redditor sent me a private message, telling me to investigate the guest room to see if Faye was doing anything in there. It turns out she was. She had written the number 5 on the window with her finger. I only saw it because of the condensation from the cold this afternoon. It's written backwards, so that someone standing in our backyard can read it. If you don't want to read the other posts, here is a brief synopsis. My fiancée Faye has had a sleep disorder since she was a little girl. It involves night terrors, sleepwalking, sleep talking, etc. This condition is generally under control, but is exacerbated by stress. A few days ago we went on vacation and stayed in a cabin in Pikes Peak, Colorado. We found a creepy homemade dream catcher in the forest behind the cabin, and at night, we heard several voices calling out from the woods, saying all kinds of terrifying things. Sometimes the voices would mimic people we knew, including deceased relatives. Faye's sleep disturbances got much worse, and while sleep talking one night, I overheard her answering strange questions about herself and me. When we returned to our home in California, her behavior became extremely erratic, and she is convinced that something has followed us back. I cannot tell you how much all of your support has meant to us over the past few days. Faye feels so good knowing that people are constantly asking about her health. And I feel like a few of your suggestions have literally saved her life. So thank you, from the bottom of my heart. I don't even know where to begin. So much has happened in the last 2.5 days. The sedatives and anti-anxiety medication the doctor gave to Faye worked during the day, and she has been less stressed. However, at night, her behavior is still highly unusual. I have taken the overwhelming consensus of Redditors seriously. I went out and purchased a bunch of childproofing materials for the house to prevent Faye from harming herself or going outside while sleepwalking. I could not afford a bunch of cameras. Sorry, I'm a teacher. I bought these knob covers that little kids, and hopefully sleepwalkers, are too stupid to figure out, outlet covers in case she tries to jam anything into them, and I hid the kitchen knives. I also brought in a spiritual healer after very carefully searching for one. It is my opinion that 99% of them are frauds and hucksters, but this woman did not charge us anything, and she was recommended by close family. She is the daughter of a Shoshone tribal elder. The long and short of it is, she believes our house is not haunted. However, she says that Faye feels very off. She said she couldn't get a good read on her at all, and that there is a dark cloud over her. Still suspicious of this woman, I took her to a random upstairs window and told her that I had seen something outside near the edge of the woods, mimicking Faye's sleepwalking, which was true, but I pointed out the wrong window, to the wrong part of the forest. She quietly examined the other windows upstairs and said that our bedroom window, the correct one, gave her a terrible feeling. She said, "He watches from here. She can hear him whispering at night." We told her everything. She was horrified by our story. The look on her face unsettled me so much, it was like she'd never heard of anything this bad. She went out of the room and had to collect herself downstairs. The woman prayed for several minutes, sang a beautiful song in a language I can't even begin to describe, and used sage our entire house. She put some kind of crushed herbs on the ground in front of the two doors that lead into our home. Then she told me, in private, "You are dealing with the Hollow Ones." She said its name her ancestral language, but I can't even come close to remembering or spelling it. She said that one is infatuated with Faye and will do absolutely anything to get inside our house, but the process takes time. I don't know if I actually buy any of this, but at least she didn't sell it to me. We also had Faye take a pregnancy test, as recommended by many Redditors. The woman said it was a good idea. Good news, not pregnant. And the woman stood in the bathroom with her like a prison guard so she couldn't duck with the test. We then thanked the woman and she left. That night, we attached a little jingle bell from Faye's Christmas-themed lingerie to a hair scrunchie and put it around her ankle. I'm such a light sleeper, there's no way she'd be able to get out of bed without waking me. Faye fell asleep really fast due to the medication, out like a light in a few minutes. I lay in bed thinking about the 5 she wrote on the window in her sleep a few nights earlier, and reasoned that it meant 5 a.m., and not 5 days, as some Redditors had speculated. This makes sense because she's been getting up at that time to sleepwalk every night for 4 nights now. Since the 5 was written backwards, facing the backyard, I reasoned that it was a signal to whoever or whatever was out there, she was going to try to let it inside. I eventually fell asleep, and I had a effing horrifying dream. Something came into the house, through the sliding glass door to the yard, and walked up the stairs and into our bedroom. It sat at the edge of our bed, rubbing Faye's foot and staring at us. It was completely wreathed in shadow, I couldn't see it at all except for a silhouette, just like the video I posted about what I saw a few nights earlier. I woke up soaked in sweat and couldn't fall back asleep for a while. 5 a.m. rolled around, and the reliable little jingle bell woke me right up. In her sleep, Faye did something she's never done before. She stood up on the bed, rigid as a board, and stared out the window. I shouldn't really say stared, because her eyes were closed, but she was alert. Watching, listening. She remained there like a statue for at least 5 minutes. I also didn't move, I just watched. Then, she slowly raised her hand and started waving at someone outside. My skin crawled when she did that. She definitely knew someone was there, even with her eyes shut. Faye then stepped off the bed and darted to the bedroom door, trying to get out into the hallway, but the child-proof knob cover stopped her. She couldn't figure it out in her sleep. She did another thing she's never done while sleepwalking. She got extremely angry and started pulling on the cover. She shrieked and growled like a trapped animal. After about 30 seconds of this, she woke herself up. She started crying really hard and told me that in her nightmares, she had seen a man without a face, walking through the halls of our home, whispering her name and looking for her. I sat up and talked with her for an hour, and then we went back to sleep. When I woke up again, it was around 10 a.m., April 24th, and Faye was gone. The bedroom window was open. As I walked downstairs, I saw her in the backyard, reading. Every single window in the entire house was open, and it was like 55 degrees outside. She told me the smell of the sage made her nauseous, and she wanted to get it out of the house. I couldn't smell anything. I suggested that we go to the church downtown today to speak with a priest. She's Catholic, but she refused, so I had my buddy Kay, who is a very, very devout Catholic, come over with some holy water and his crucifix. Apparently, Kay told his priest what was going on, and the guy very reluctantly blessed the water and told us to call him. Faye was irritated that I'd done this without her permission, and waited outside while Kay set up a few little crosses and his big crucifix around the house. Faye refused to have any holy water put on her. She kept saying, "I'm freezing, don't you dare." She's going to be super pissed when she finds out I put that shit in her shampoo and conditioner bottles. She was in a really nasty mood all morning, but after we went out for lunch, she was feeling better and agreed to film the interview video and answer questions from Redditors. While filming, I noticed that she wasn't wearing her engagement ring and realized she hadn't been wearing it in several days. I asked her where it was, and she said it was in our luggage, which we've now only partially unpacked. Later, when I checked, it wasn't there. I'm worried about this for a few reasons. I will post the video as soon as she watches and approves it. She's self-conscious. Expect it within a few days. I finally began moving some more of the photos from the cabin onto my laptop too. I cannot bring myself to listen to those voice recordings yet. Since this is getting overlong, flash forward to last night. I got up at about 1 a.m. to pee, and I knocked the bell scrunchie off the bed. Faye had taken it off and was gone. I got angry and scared at the same time. I found her sitting on the stairs, looking down into the dark, spreading her arms open like she was trying to get a child to climb the staircase for its first time. She was smiling with her eyes closed. As I usually do, I gently got her up and walked her back to bed. When I laid down next to her, she leaned over, and with her eyes still closed, said, "They're gonna kill you," and then licked my face. I called her parents today to arrange a flight back to Colorado. They're paying for it. Her mom, Laura, admitted to me that something had happened to Faye as a child at the cabin. That is where her sleep disturbances started, when she was 5. I have had enough, and they can tell. They spoke with the ranger at Pikes Peak again, and he's arranging for me to meet with him and his buddies from their tribe who knows the entire history of the area and all of the hauntings that other visitors have reported. Faye will be staying with my 2 best friends, R and J, and Jay's fiancée. I've known all 3 of them since high school, and they're completely informed about all these events. They will guard her with their lives. In short, I'm going back to the cabin, alone. I'll update soon, but no matter what happens, I'm not going to drag this out any further on NoSleep. I've polluted this place enough with my problems. Edit, folks, I won't be at the cabin alone. I'm meeting the ranger and his friends there. His 2 friends are from his tribe nation. Sorry, I don't know the correct terminology, and they are healers. They know all about Pikes Peak and the ongoing situation. I'm not going out easy. Update, dropped Faye off at my friend's place. They'll take care of her. Heading to the airport now. No idea when I'll get back on. We'll try tonight if I'm not too tired after landing. Update, April 26th, midnight, Colorado. I'm at Faye's parents. Exhausted. Talked to her parents extensively. Got word from my friends. Faye started feeling really ill, wanted to go home. They've moved the whole posse over to our house, which has been saged, blessed, protected, covered in holy water and crucifixes, and she is allegedly doing much better now. Richard and Jason's fiancée Allison are all sleeping over for a few nights to ensure Faye is alright. Heading to the cabin tomorrow morning to meet the ranger. Update, April 26th, 9:45 a.m., Colorado, leaving in 1 hour to go to the cabin. Sorry for typo, I said it was the 27th by accident. Update, April 26th, 5:15 p.m., Spotty bullshit Wi-Fi, snowing like crazy up here. Meet with the ranger, investigated the cabin. Nothing unusual inside except a lampshade removed from a lamp, which he claims was not like that when he came in here a few days ago. His friends will be here tomorrow morning. I'm alone for tonight. I went outside for just a minute when it was still light to grab some things from the truck, and heard two voices. Making short videos with my phone. Will try to upload. Update, April 27th, 9:12 p.m. So much has gone down. I am so terrified and sleep deprived. I'm writing a huge post right now with everything that's happened. I will post it tomorrow morning because I know I can't finish it tonight. I'm going to fall asleep in my chair. Sorry to keep you waiting. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like and comment your thoughts. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing as well.